It's time for the 1430 Connection on 1430 WNAV and 99.9 FM, spotlighting news, newsmakers, and important community issues. Now, with this week's edition of the 1430 Connection, here is WNAV news anchor Donna Cole.
Welcome to the 1430 Connection. I'm Donna Cole. Today I'm talking to Donna Rice Hughes. She's the president and CEO of Enough is Enough. It's a nonprofit organization focusing on making the internet safer for children and families. Donna, thank you so much for talking with me today.
Well, thank you, Donna, for having me.
Where is Enough is Enough located, by the way?
Headquarters is just outside of Washington, D.C. in Northern Virginia, and but we have a national focus and even an international focus.
In April of 2017, Teen Vogue had an article called How to Sext, the Best Tips and Tricks. Was that correct? April 13th, 2017?
I believe that's the right date. They've done a number of articles encouraging to sext. So that, I believe, was one of them.
So Teen Vogue is a publication that is exactly who is marketed to for teens. However, teens being what they are today, you hit that tween audience too, the 11 and 12-year-olds. And within this article, How to Sext, the Best Tips and Tricks, I've highlighted a couple sentences, and make sure to, if you want to read more about it, it's there on the internet. Like anything worth doing, sexting takes practice. Here are 7 things you might not know about sexting directly from the experts at Sexting AF. There's one thing there. Another was, if you're sexting someone new, don't assume what worked with your last partner will work now. Sexting should make you feel good. Here's another one. Whether your identity as bisexual, queer, or anything else, everyone deserves your A game when it comes to sexting, whatever that means to you. Donna, you wrote an op-ed piece for the Washington Times on May 7th. It says, Teen Vogue has become a parent's worst nightmare and must be shut down. Starting with the first paragraph, Teen Vogue is taking full advantage of the COVID-19 pandemic by promoting the risky and potentially illegal activity of sexting to its underage readers who are using the internet now more than ever for school and play while hunkered down at home. When youth send or post explicit or nude pictures or videos of themselves to others via cell phones, computers, or social media, they may be liable under both state and federal child pornography laws. It continues on. The articles were promoted at the same time the FBI issued a warning that school closings due to COVID-19 present a potential for increased risk of child exploitation. In January, the Internet Watch Foundation reported that self-generated imagery now accounts for almost a third of web pages featuring sexual images of children that they take down, and more than a third of those images feature 11 to 13-year-old children, of which the majority is girls. And by the way, that again is the target audience probably for Teen Vogue, yes?
Yes, absolutely. You hit the nail on the head. Perfect.
You want Teen Vogue shut down, and you've launched a write-in campaign.
Absolutely. First of all, this started, our focus with Teen Vogue started several years ago when it came to my attention that they had put out an outrageous article called Anal Sex 101, and they were encouraging teens and tweens to try anal sex. They talked nothing about safer practices with this act. They didn't talk about the possible transmission of AIDS or anything else, and it's still up. So that's where this began, and since that time, we've seen them put out all kinds of articles teaching teens and tweens how to have an abortion. Just different kinds of things that parents would not even begin to believe that a Conde Nast publication, which puts out wonderful publications, in my opinion, most of them, and some of them that I even read, that their teen publication is putting out this kind of nonsense to their kids. And so it's, but this last one, the sexting promotion that they did recently during COVID, this brings up a lot of concerning that if kids followed what they're encouraging them to do, they could get convicted on child pornography charges, which could end up resulting in criminal charges, and also having the youth having to register as a sex offender for life. It makes them, by taking new pictures of themselves and sending it out there or putting it out there, it makes them vulnerable to sexual predators and sex traffickers who groom kids on a lot of the platforms that kids are on currently and pretend to be another kid or another teenager and get these kids to actually sex nude or explicit videos or images of themselves. And it can also be used when kids sext, again, as a tool of sextortion and revenge porn. All of these are very negative outcomes for a child to be sexting.
Possibly lasting outcomes for the rest of their lives.
Well, lasting outcomes, not only that, what we do know is that often when a kid does sext, but we'll keep in mind this very important point, which I failed to mention, and that is when there is a nude or explicit video or picture of a child under 17 or 18 years old, depending on the state, that is called child pornography under the law. And that's where those criminal charges can come in. However, many states have sexting laws, and many of them focused on teens, trying to encourage them not to do this and not to sex because it is so very risky for a minor child, which is someone under 17 or 18 years old. So at this point, after these many, many years of outrageous articles, and I just named a few, another one is they did an article called Why Sex Work is Real Work, talking about stripping and prostitution to young girls. And they refer to girls oftentimes as non-prostate owners, and for boys they refer to them as prostate owners. And that was very prominent verbiage that they used in their anal sex guide. And so after 3 years of this, we just said, you know what, they're continuing to put out articles that, to their very large audience, I might add, 13.4 million social media followers, to kids that parents, would I believe just be outraged by. And for me, as an internet safety expert and someone who's been on the front lines of protecting kids on the internet from hardcore pornography, from traffickers, from sexual predators, et cetera, most parents know that all of that is really bad and dangerous for kids, but they don't know that a publication called Teen Vogue, the little daughter of Vogue magazine, could lead their kids into some very dark and dangerous waters.
Let's take a quick break. We'll be right back on the 1430 Connection. Welcome back to the 1430 Connection. My name is Donna Cole. I'm talking today with Donna Rice Hughes. She's the president and CEO of Is Enough Is Enough, a nonprofit organization focusing on making the internet safer for children and families. Donna, you put out a petition. You want Teen Vogue shut down. How many signatures do you have?
We have 41,000, and this is under 3 weeks. So that's a lot of petition signers in under 3 weeks. And your listeners can go to enough.org, and we've got a big banner ad at the top of our homepage, and you can just click on it. You can go read the whole petition and sign it, and we encourage you to not only sign it, but send it to your friends.
By forcing them to shut down, this would be infringing on First Amendment rights. We all have our First Amendment rights. What's your feeling about that?
Well, first of all, I'm a big proponent of First Amendment, but this is irresponsible, and it's dangerous. They're encouraging kids to engage in criminal activity. So at some point, where does the safety and the innocence of children come in with respect to any publication's right to put something out there under quote-unquote First Amendment grounds? Our point to Conde Nast is, look, if there's a publication that wants to put this kind of information out there, that's fine, but let it not be a trusted Conde Nast publishing branded publication that parents and kids alike would automatically trust simply because of the brand of Vogue. That's really the issue here. There's a lot of horrible stuff out there, trust me. I mean, kids can see anything. They can actually see graphic bestiality images. They can see graphic incest. They can see graphic women being raped and tortured. They can see all of this in the pornography world. And that, by the way, that kind of content is not protected speech. So there's a lot of information that they can see, and there's a lot of video that they can see that can really bring them a lot of harm. But by encouraging kids to actually create child pornography of themselves, which puts them at risk for sexual predators and traffickers, and also possibly with law enforcement and the crosshairs of law enforcement, that to me verges on criminal. And I believe that your audience listening to this would probably agree with that. At some point, it's not protected by the First Amendment to scream fire in a crowded theater. Why? Because people can get hurt. Putting this kind of information, we've never called for them to be shut down when they put out the anal sex guide, and even though it could put kids at risk for getting AIDS, when they put out, sex, prostitution is real work. This is the first time because it crossed the line.
You've written letters, you've written emails to the people at Conde Nast and to Teen Vogue. You have not heard one thing back from them?
We haven't heard back with this particular petition. The first petition that we put out after the anal sex guide 3 years ago, the former digital editor of Teen Vogue, who was a male, who was also a gay guy. I've got a lot of gay friends, so nothing against gays. But his only response, and he's no longer there, is he kissed another man and shot us all the finger and called us homophobes. So that was the response we got the first time. We're just going right over Teen Vogue's head and their editor's head, and we're going straight to Conde Nast because we believe that they're a responsible company. And I believe if their board of directors knew this was happening, they would say, we don't need this. But let them, rebrand themselves and call themselves something else, but it's not going to go under the brand of Vogue.
I remember back to Tipper Gore's campaign to put labels on albums with record albums to warn people of explicit lyrics. We've changed a lot since then. It's gone well beyond just explicit lyrics now.
Oh, well, yeah, and I have to be perfectly frank with you and your audience. We normally stay away from mainstream media or any of this. This is an exception simply because we're a trusted internet safety expert, and parents and grandparents and even the media and law enforcement and Congress look to us for what is safe and what is potentially dangerous. And so when we found out what Teen Vogue was doing, we felt a responsibility to call them out and to see if we could impact positive change. But yes, things have really changed. We work in a bipartisan manner. Our primary focus is on protecting children from pornography, sexual predators, sex traffickers, child pornography, and other dangers online, whether it be on online gaming platforms, on social media platforms, et cetera, et cetera. We don't really get into privacy issues with kids so much. It's more about preventing the exploitation of children and women and families in the digital world. And so, yeah, now, back when Tipper Gore was doing that, the kids could not get hardcore pornography that was, in XXX rated bookstores on the seedy side of town. Now they can get any type of hardcore pornography that's not even protected speech for adults. And that's where we are. The internet, I love it. We can never do the things that we do now, but the bad guys, the criminal element has been able to exploit this wonderful technology and been ahead of law enforcement, ahead of public perception in so many cases, and really taken full advantage of this technology. And so that's really where we spend 95% of our time, protecting children from all of that. And this is kind of a one-off for us, but it's really hit a nerve we found across the country, and we've got people signing this pledge from all over the world because it's a digital publication.
Let's take another short break. We'll be right back on the 1430 Connection. Welcome back to the 1430 Connection. My name is Donna Cole, and I'm talking today with Donna Rice Hughes. She's the president and CEO of Enough is Enough, a nonprofit organization focusing on making the Internet safer for children and families. The Internet, we were just talking about, has a lot of great stuff, but it has this dark, deep underside to it that's not pretty, and where kids are being exploited. What are your best tips to parents to keep kids safe?
I would say first and foremost to recognize that your child or your grandchild is not immune for many of these dangers that I've mentioned. They are not immune. It doesn't matter how smart they are, how clever they are, how good of a kid they are, how uninterested in sexual things they are. None of that matters, because the sexual predators, the traffickers, the child pornographers, and the pornographers are seeking them out. They are very proactive in using this technology to get and to trap and to lure vulnerable, innocent, naive kids. Have regular conversations with your kids about what they're doing. I recommend that kids aren't even on the Internet up until probably tween years anyway, and that when they're using technology, they're in more of a protected walled, what we call a walled garden, and not just allowed to freely surf. But we highly recommend that you use parental control tools. They are on most platforms, have them available. Many times they're free, and it's important at the minimum that you use filters and monitoring technology. Filtering will block out about 95% of the dangerous content. And you can decide what you want blocked and filtered. It can be pornography, it could be lingerie, it could be hate speech, it could be gambling, it can be, there's like 30 categories of content that you can pick. For each child, you can make it different. Monitoring allows you to get a report card of where your kids are going. I highly recommend you let your kids know that you're doing this. You don't need to be subversive about it. You need to say, the Internet is great, I trust you, but I need to put safeguards around this, just like I make you wear a seatbelt when you're in the car, right? Because there's some bad people out there. And also time limiting controls is very important. Also I recommend that these parental control tools are used on every Internet-enabled device. So not just the laptop, but the smartphone and the gaming devices. They all have these tools available. And we've got a whole host of tools and information about them on our website as well at internetsafety101.org. And so that's really important, but that's not all. The tools, and then just the safety rules. There's regular conversations, checking in with your kids. Talk to them about what they're doing regularly. For instance, if they went to a sleepover, you would have a conversation with them before they went probably, and after they got home the next day, right? How did it go? Recognize when they're online, they're out there. Okay, even if you take all the precautions to manage that technology, things can still slip through in chat rooms and instant messaging and everything else. So, and be that your child's trusted person. Don't freak out if they come across something, because they probably will, all right? Don't assume they went looking for it, even though they might, because kids are sharing. We're hearing bus drivers and school teachers saying kids are passing this stuff around when they're 7 and 8 years old on the school bus and at school. So just have those conversations. Talk to them. I think it's important when they're seeing especially violent sex and that kind of content, that you help them understand that this can be counterfeit. Also, I think it's particularly important for boys, but also for girls, with pornography, help them understand that this can open them up to becoming addicted to this content. We know there's just a huge pandemic of young people, tweens especially, starting at 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old, getting addicted to just pornography.
Donna, I can't thank you enough for joining me today on the 1430 Connection.
Well, thank you. It's really been a privilege, and thank you for having me.
This is Donna Cole on the 1430 Connection. We will see you next week.